Thank you. It is 6:30, and we're at the City of Brainerd Safety and Public Works Committee meeting. Myself, Kelly Bevins, Sue Hilgard, Engineer Halsether, Assistant Engineer Freihammer is in the audience. Chip Organhagen appears to be absent, as is our city planners downstairs at P&F for another item. But we will roll through as we have the A-team here tonight. Item number one, is there any, Mr. Engineer, is there anything we're going to need to add?
No, I think everything's laid out in the memo.
Okay, we're going to go. Item number one, Crow Wing County tax forfeit lot request. Anything that either of you want to add to this? This is that non-conservation and future sale. Any questions or anything you want to add, Mr. Halsether?
No, I think the information that that I put in the memo, as well as the information provided by the counties, pretty much self-explanatory. The parcel's somewhat landlocked, and we don't have any municipal purpose for it that we can find, so our recommendation would be to classify non-conservation and offered for sale.
And offered for sale. And that's what this does. And just in case you're watching at home, this is a piece of property that's down by Annebeck Street off of, is that a dead end?
Yes, it's just a dead end. That terminates at the Central Lakes College athletic field.
Yep. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you very much. And is there a move to approve the recommendation?
So moved.
And I'll second it. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Item number two is improvement number 1504, 2015 crack ceiling. Got a nice memo in there again from Jesse Freihammer. Jesse, anything you want to add to this? It's pretty self-explanatory. This is a budgeted item, correct, Mr. Engineer?
Yes, this is a budgeted item.
Okay, and we've got a low quote, and that's your recommendation is to take the low quote from Anderson Brothers, is that correct?
That's correct.
At 7.9% above estimate. I mean, anything, it's our second one this year above the estimate. Of course, we did the Holly, that little alley sewer last time.
Yep.
So.
And this one was a little bit different this year on the crack filling. Normally, we structured our contract so that the contractor would supply their own material and provide all the labor, equipment, and material for the crack filling. This particular case, we just received quotes for the labor portion of it, labor and equipment, and we are supplying the material. So I think that might be where our estimate got off a little bit.
Okay.
But do we have the ability to? Obviously, we do, right? You let.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any further questions?
None.
Is there a motion to approve the 2015 crack ceiling bid from Anderson Brothers at $24,557.50 with our
So moved.
crack seal stuff?
Second.
Good to see you, Chip. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Improvement number 1502 is item number 3, and that's the 2015 seal coat project. So this is, we got 3 bids. Low bid was from Aztec Construction in the amount of $128,970.58. Oh my goodness, we're under bid on this one.
Yes, we are.
21,000.
Yeah, all right. We're recommending that the engineer is recommending to accept a bid from Aztec. Is there any questions?
Quick one. Just out of curiosity, how does this get funded? This is budgeted. Does it? Well, here's what the question is. We're still paying on. This is the Laurel Street one, right? The Laurel.
Actually, this is a whole bunch of streets.
A variety of streets.
A variety of streets.
Including Laurel Street,
Including Laurel Street.
and we're still paying for.
Assessments?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, does this get added on top of that then?
No, this is not an accessible improvement. This is more of a pavement preservation project where, typically, after we construct a road, a number of years after that, we always chip seal it.
Right.
It helps prevent oxidation of the pavements and seals cracks, but we do not assess, for it.
Okay.
But
I was just curious.
And it just comes out of the construction fund. So each year we have the equivalent of a 2 mil levy that supports the construction fund or the permanent improvement fund, and that's what we utilize to do our crack sealing and chip seal projects.
Cool. Thank you.
Any idea what's the construction fund must be, is it still negative from last year? It hasn't been reimbursed yet?
It should be marginally positive, I think.
Marginally positive, so, what expectations are by the time June rolls around, July, that
Yes.
gets funded?
Right, there should be some, right, we do have some accounts receivable coming back into that.
Okay, perfect. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept
So moved.
the bid
Second.
from Aztec? And second, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next is the historic water tower update. This would be engineering department, engineer Halsey.
Yes, we have two updates on this. First, I don't want to steal the city planner, so I'll start with the other one first and see if he comes up here. We did submit a claim to, or rather a request to the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust when we first noticed the delamination of the concrete coating on the tower, and just to see if there was coverage for it. They took a look at it. We provided them with copies of the engineering reports and recommendations from the materials engineer and our consultant. And from that, they determined that we did not have coverage to cover the rehabilitation of the structure, but we did have coverage to cover the cost of the initial investigation to determine the cause. So with that, we did process that claim, and we were reimbursed $6,862.83. That was $6,862.83 towards our engineering expense, which was a little over $9,000, I think about $9,400. So we got most of that reimbursed.
About another $1 million and we're ready to go.
Exactly. The second part of that, as long as Mark isn't here, we were successful in getting the $10,000 grant from the Historical Society. That grant was for the preparation of a historic structure analysis, and along with that also there would be sort of a feasibility study to reconstruct the dome roof structure on the water tower. It's thought that having that historic structure analysis is key to being able to qualify for future grants through the Historical Society for potential renovation work on the tower. So with that, we're planning on moving forward with that grant to an RFQ, get a consultant on board to do that structure analysis and review, to take a look at the roof, potential for the roof. That particular project has to be complete by March 1st of 2016. So I would expect that project, the selection of the consultant to take a few months, the work being conducted throughout the summer into the fall. There will be some review time on the final report. Historical Society has to review the report and sign off on it. So that will put us in a position probably by next winter to be able to apply for grants for potential renovation of the structure.
Any questions?
If I could toss out just a thought. I'm just now recalling that the water tower in Pipestone, Minnesota was, they used the same identical plans as ours. Ours are the only two that are identical. And I'm just wondering if it might be worth making a little note to contact them and see, maybe compare notes as to where those guys are at with their...
Yep, we have. We have had some discussions with them on, right now their tower's not active either.
Right.
They never did a renovation project like we did back in the 70s, where theirs is still intact. They never took the roof off of it. And I think theirs is not behaving the same as ours is. I think ours was built first, and then theirs followed. And it's a slightly smaller scale, but I think they might have changed construction techniques a little bit, and changed that design a little.
Okay.
Mr. Engineer, the one concern I think that I would like to voice over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is that if we're going to get into a situation for feasibility, and we've got a feasibility study with a $10,000 grant from the Historical Society, and, $3.5 million matching, I bet you the council would like to know that in advance. And I'm not suggesting that those numbers are anywhere close to accurate,
Right.
but since this has already been out in the public, I want to make sure it stays there, particularly with the finances, because, we've talked about one way of financing the operation through our PUC billing statements. We found out we couldn't do that. But those kind of things, to get them out and on the table prior to getting into a situation where we're committed to committing our taxpayers to a very large project without them knowing it up front. You've done a very good job. I just want to state publicly again and again and again, so
Sure.
that we're going to try and do that with this. This could be an expensive project.
It will be an expensive project.
It will be.
But this might be a good opportunity to add on to what you're saying, just in regard to if the public does have ideas, thoughts, concepts of how we might approach this differently. Anything from Kickstarter to who knows what. There's a lot of people out there who probably have better ideas than you.
Certainly possible. All right, thanks for the update, Mr. Engineer, and I'm going to ask that you do the same, because there's some good news in there.
Sure,
with the
yes.
insurance claim and the grant that you two, you and Mr. Oscarden get a chance to mention those at the council meeting as well. Item 5, downtown landscaping discussion of. We had a request from Mr. Mank, who's here, regarding the four corners on 7th and Laurel and the landscaping. Any changes since last week? And I'll ask Mr. Mank if he's...
I am not aware of any, although I haven't been involved in any discussions with Mark or Mr. Mink on it in either way, so I guess I'm not up to date.
Just so everybody knows, and I didn't share this with you two, I did have send some correspondence to Mr. Mink, which I'll explain. And I didn't share it with you guys because I didn't want to influence you guys, but basically supporting Mr. Oscarden's thoughts on the remaining part of the baskets and what to do with them. And as you recall, Mr. Oscarden said, "Boy, I thought it would be difficult or not worth it to go out and assess the remaining baskets." That there was a few things, such as right now, Mr. Mank is paying for electricity, storage of the irrigation system. There was going to be some plumbing expenses, potential plumbing expenses for starting up the irrigation system. So, anyway, Mr. Mank made the request. Mr. Mank, is there anything you want to add or discuss or tell us that we screwed up on what we were thinking?
You're all doing a perfect job. You get A's or A minuses maybe. You can't get quite up that A. You got to have some room for improvement.
Right, room for improvement. Understood.
No,
I did eat pastries.
I got your memo. I'm sorry I was not able to return
That's
it
okay.
because I got it late. Actually, read it yesterday. The thing I request is do what's right for the city. If you feel that me taking care of the four corners is right for the city and not assessing and let everybody else do their own thing, it'd be fine. I was in conversation with Becky LaPlante, I believe it is, Dave Peringer's significant other, and she tentatively said that she might be willing to help with some of the gardens. Now, no commitments made, just casual talk. So I will either do one garden like I did last year, or I'll do the corner, whichever you feel is in the city's best interest. I do feel that your statement about, well, maybe just let it go and let everybody take care of their own is okay. Everybody takes care of their own front yard at home. Maybe they should take care of their own front yard in the business world. The only thing I can say is make certain that you somehow figure a way to roll the assessment in for the water usage, the plumber opening and closing the irrigation system, and the garbage is collection
Right.
type of thing. But other than that, I have nothing more to say. It's up to you what you wish the best interest of the city is. And I'm open to suggestions. So I will do the best, which way you decide to do. Thank you. Do you have any
Thank you.
questions?
I just wanted to, we received and I don't have a copy of it, I think, or maybe Sue does, a copy from Mark Osgard, our planner, regarding how the Park Rapids, there's been some discussion off and on over the years here about how beautiful the hanging baskets are in Park Rapids.
I saw
And
it.
some of, you saw that, and those are adopted on the commitment.
One possible issue. The baskets they use are much bigger than the baskets we use.
Right.
I think it was noted there. I do believe that the poles that we were told we could not support more than what we have. Again, that's an engineering number that I don't know.
Right.
But years ago, I was told that this is the largest baskets you can hang. Now, so whoever told me that, did they know what they're talking about? I don't know. But yes, I like theirs. I like the ones down in Red Wing. In fact, they have a watering system where they come up to it with a quick attach with a little water pump that pumps the water up to it and stuff, so they don't have to go and reach up and stuff. But it's a long-going thing. Right now, we're in discussions with Minnesota Housing about the downtown. HRA and Minnesota Housing have a small group of people discussing it, but it's way too early to make any judgments what's going to transpire there. But I like the idea of them, but the problem with hanging baskets is in a dry downtown, unless you maintain them almost daily,
Right.
they're going to die.
I have them in front of my business. It's twice a day.
Twice a day, like I say. And so that's the problem is trying to get someone that has enough vested interest. Take care.
Any
So-
more questions for Mr. Mink?
Anybody else have any questions?
Okay.
I'd more than try to answer them. Thank you.
Anything else, Sue? You got? Okay. So, I mean, the thought process is, do we stick with what we've been doing, which is where we assess everybody, Mr. Mink takes care of the one in front of him, or do we move towards privatization of the streetscape, the downtown landscape? Whether that includes baskets or not.
Last year, baskets were eliminated.
Pardon me?
Last year, the baskets were eliminated.
Baskets, right, baskets were eliminated in years past, they have been. And and I think that, if I'm not mistaken, the first year or two we had baskets, I believe the city watered them. Up and down, yep,
I believe you could be right, yes.
right. Well, needless to say, there's all kinds of things that could happen. We could let the downtown businesses choose to adopt, as Mr. Mank is suggesting, those four things. And we could go on a program, when I say we, the city of Brainerd, adopt baskets, like we did, or like Park Rapids does. I mean, there's an opportunity for hybrid, I think and I'm really uncomfortable speaking for Mr. Oscar, and I wish he was here, but I think the biggest thing was to try not to do the half, or Mr. Mank does half of them, and half of them get taken care of in some sort of bid assessment program like what we've done. He thought that wasn't. It was complicating the matter beyond belief. The other thought that I had is if we are thinking of initially the privatization of the landscaping downtown, I liked that idea. I think I take better care of my stuff because I buy them and I have some pride in them, and I still kill a few of them off, and then I replace them, and there is some expense involved, but I think they look nice. Not necessarily any nicer than downtown, but I would want to mail a letter out to the downtown business owners. This is what the council is considering. If you have any comments, please direct them to Engineer Halsether, Kelly Bevins, Chip Borkenhagen, I just think, I mean, you might, I don't know that 2 more weeks is a problem, time-wise. Mr. Engineer, does that make sense?
No, 2 weeks is not a.
Now, if we're considering just doing the way we've always done it, then I don't see any reason we do that. Mr. Mankin would be thanked for his suggestion. I don't know that there's a right or wrong thing here. I have no idea.
Do you have a sense of what the feedback of other Brainerd businesses would be? Is it worth the staff time and cost to do a survey?
Consensus last year when we had that meeting downstairs.
Well, I don't know if there was a consensus, because it was only you and Dave. We couldn't get anyone else to show enough interest to show up for the meeting. So that was difficult in itself.
That's kind of what I was hoping you'd say.
Well, and maybe that in its of itself is a response to say, I don't know that we'd get anybody else to do their part in the privatization of the downtown landscape.
My take on it is, if we're going to privatize it, my take is that not an awful lot would get done.
I'm inclined to say the status quo, meaning the way it's been, probably what works for a reason, and that is not to say that your gesture's not valued.
As long as I get at least my garden taken care of.
Thank you for your extra efforts. They really looked beautiful last year.
Yeah, okay.
Then if that is the case, then, and I certainly support that, then the motion would be to deny his request and to stick with the program that we've had.
Particularly maybe if that program could be just tweaked.
Always.
A little bit.
Always looking to make it better, I think.
Yeah, because I just noticed there were some issues last year, even which side of the street you were on as to the angle of the sun.
Right.
You know, what you can plant where. Your side of the street obviously gets a full-on blast, I mean, just little things like that. But,
And at this point,
it seems to me, too, if you can't get folks to show up for a meeting, how are you going to get them to show up to water their plants that they didn't buy?
Chip, is that a motion to stick with the
I
program?
believe it is.
All right.
Ellie, is
Yes.
that okay for me to have my garden taken care of?
Yes, to do the program like we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that also includes you will get assessed like you did last year. Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we will stick with last year's program and deny Mr. Make's request. Thank you, Mr. Make. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 6 is the property at 410 12th Street Southeast. Anything to add to that, Mr. Andrew?
No, Jesse put together a very comprehensive memo on this to kind of explain the issues with that particular property. Just like to kind of reiterate that we've got a very blighted property in a neighborhood that the county is not going to be tax forfeit for a year. So if we just follow the process of the county, the normal tax forfeit process, so we're not going to be able to get that structure removed until the summer of 2016 sometime. In addition, we do have some specific needs for storm sewer right in that immediate area. We've got an area where an open ditch intersects with 2 large diameter pipes, and hydraulically it's just not working correctly, and having the use of the northwest quarter of that block could assist us considerably in managing our stormwater. So from our perspective, we think that our recommendation would be to actually purchase the property from the county for past taxes, demo the structures, and then to see if we can find some other use for the lot that faces 12th Street, either sell it back to Habitat or some other private party, or the adjacent property owners perhaps, then retain the northwest quarter of the block for storm sewer purposes.
Would we be able to get the $5,000 that we invest for the sale of that lot?
I don't know that we could recover all of that. I just don't know what the market is for lots right now, but I think it may be. I think we could maybe recover some of that. but I think whatever we have into it is going to benefit us to much more than that dollar amount in terms of saving costs to modify our storm sewer system.
You know how much cost you would save?
We haven't really designed an alternate on the storm sewer system, but that could, 36-inch pipe? Or 42.
42 going into a 36.
Yeah, but, so we'd have to probably construct a couple hundred feet of that, so we're probably talking somewhere around a $40,000 project to fix our storm sewer system.
And by dividing that lot, once it's cleared, that alleviates the need for the $40,000?
I think we can save a lot of it, but, or a good portion of it.
So like 60%? How much is a good portion?
We haven't looked at that in that much detail yet, other than we looked at it and said it was abundantly clear that it was a good deal.
So the savings will outweigh the cost
Yeah.
if you do a cost benefit?
Yep.
Plus, we get it sooner.
Plus we get it sooner, so the neighborhood itself benefits to the tune of getting that blight removed a year earlier also.
I would support this, but I'd certainly want our staff to immediately write a letter to Habitat. There's another group.
We've been in touch with both Habitat, or with the HRA, who has been in touch with Habitat.
I was thinking of the group that was that actually was outside of either of those or both of those two, but worked with both of those. I know they were on the front pages of the paper. I believe Ann Fisher was on this board, is part of it.
Okay.
And I'll certainly mention to her that we have a problem. They took one down in Northeast.
Yes.
All right, you're familiar with that.
Yes.
That would be, I would certainly want that part of this, so we can get the recovery side
Yep.
rolling. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 15 is the 2015 bus resolution. And we are, what are we doing here?
Well, this would be, within this year's transit budget or contract with MnDOT, we do have a Class 400 bus, replacement bus included within that contract. The county has, the county system is getting more demand for service on both the Pequot Lakes and the Crosby route. And a lot of that is coming from St. Francis School. Although it is a public transportation system, so we also have demand from non-school related users that we cannot provide service to because we don't have capacity. In trying to resolve that capacity issue, the Office of Transit has indicated that they have some additional money this year. They could up our replacement bus from a Class 400 to a Class 500, which has can double the capacity on a bus. In doing so, though, there is an additional local cost of about $13,529.60. Andy Stone, our transit coordinator, did approach the county TAC and discuss this because this would be a county route, and because the bus would be used solely for county purposes, we would want the county to pick up 100% of that additional local cost share. The county TAC took a look at the numbers and said, absolutely, we would recommend doing that because with the increased fare revenue, it provides for a payback of that local cost share in a little over a year. And the bus has a 7 or 8 year life expectancy, so it's really a windfall for the county side of the transportation system. That information was presented to the county board last Tuesday, I believe it was, and county board unanimously approved the additional local share to acquire the Class 500 bus versus the Class 400 bus. So with that, staff is recommending the resolution, which in essence would authorize us to move forward with the acquisition of the Class 500 bus versus the Class 400 bus.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a move to, Chip Borkenhagen moves to
Second.
recommend that to the council. Hilgard seconds. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are recommending that will be a resolution at the council. 8 is the League of Minnesota City Support Resolutions, and this is regarding legislative agendas and professional association platforms. What are we doing here, Joe?
Okay, a couple of things. A couple meetings ago, the council discussed or requested information from department heads when we're working with our various professional associations. And if those associations have some sort of legislative platform, the council wanted to be aware of what those platforms were. I just wanted to make it clear that first off, the only agent or group that I'm involved with that is involved in any sort of legislation is the City Engineers Association of Minnesota. And we are there solely to support the League of Minnesota Cities. So to provide them with factual information and technical support, kind of in support of their legislative policies and platforms. So we don't develop independent positions and don't promote any sort of independent positions at the legislature. That being said, the League of Minnesota Cities has requested member cities to consider the adoption of a resolution supporting dedicated state funding for city streets. And this came from what's called the 84% committee. It was a committee that of mayors that got together to try to promote funding for the 84% of city streets that do not have any other funding sources other than special assessments and property taxes. And with that, the league board is one of their legislative priorities or platforms is to promote a dedicated state funding of these city streets, 84% of the city streets, in some manner that would be outside of the normal municipal state aid system. With that, they did provide us with a draft resolution of support. If council is so inclined, in agreement with the league position, then staff would recommend adoption of that resolution of support.
Engineer?
Yes.
Am I reading this right, that this is supporting a resolution for the state of Minnesota to help us fund our non-municipal state aid?
That's correct.
State aid streets?
That's correct.
Right.
Okay. I mean, on the surface, that seems like a no-brainer. I can't imagine why we wouldn't. As Mrs. Cope reminds us over and over and over and over again, that's just taking tax dollars from here and over there.
There's surpluses in other places.
Yeah, right.
It looks like the past practice has been that we've supported it, the city has supported it in the past, an identical resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should as well. But I'll let one of you
I
two
would
make
move
the
that we would
continue to-
propose to.
All right.
Bring it to the
Council.
main
Council.
council.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Sure. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now, there is sort of a second part to this also. I did attach...
Now
sure.
he tells us.
Well, I did attach the resolution that was also specific to the municipal street improvement districts. This is something different, where it's a little bit more specific in terms of a funding source that would be legislation to authorize the creation of street improvement districts in cities as a funding source for city streets. So this would not be state money, but rather it would be authority for a city to, instead of trying to fund street repairs and construction and preventative pavement preservation projects with special assessments or property taxes, to be able to do it in assessment districts. So essentially what that would allow for is a city to develop a program, a long-term program of pavement preservation projects and street reconstruction projects within districts of the city, and then to set up an assessment against the properties in that district to pay for those improvements over an extended period of time. So instead of hitting someone with a special assessment, where they pay an increase for 10 years, essentially what we're doing is charging everybody in the district considerably less, but over a longer period of time, so that we can take care of all the projects within the district.
It doesn't require it, though.
It doesn't require it. It doesn't require that we actually establish it. It's just enabling legislation. So if cities so choose to establish those districts, they can. This is something that the League of Minnesota Cities has been very active in trying to promote for the last many, many years. We got real close last year. We were close a couple of years before that, and but there just has not been a comprehensive transportation bill to get this included in.
So we're supporting the process, so to speak, or
The enabling legislation.
the enabling legislation. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to support this recommendation?
So moved.
Motion by Hilgard, second by Birkenhagen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9 is improvement 1415, the airport utility extension. Get to that part. Staff is recommending the approval of the professional services agreement as presented. Anything you need to add, Mr. Hulsether? That would be the short Elliott Hendrickson one.
Not really. We did, as I mentioned, we had 2/3 of the selection committee meet with the consultants on February 25th to try to go over in some detail the hours of the hours and expenses associated with the first phase of this, and we had representatives from SEH and WSN there to explain everything, and we kind of reviewed that scope of services in some detail to try to explain exactly what these different work items were, and at the conclusion of that, I think we answered all the questions. There really, weren't any issues or concerns raised, so with that, staff's recommendation would be to enter into that agreement.
Any further questions?
I don't have any. I thought it was a really good meeting. And
Is there a motion to approve the recommendations?
Second.
Hearing any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10.
Mr. Bevins, can I
Yes,
jump
sir.
on that one for 1 second?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
If I could have, on that one, I talked to the city of Baxter, and I'll give you an update on
Sure.
the loss.
Yep.
And then, that would be B, and then on C on that one, could you mention that there's an open house?
Yep. Do we have a time and date?
We're going to promote that in some detail. I am thinking that was
I don't see it on the,
May 21st, I think, is the
Well, the
date that we
kickoff.
were tentatively looking at.
the PMT kickoff?
Oh, no, okay, the first PMT meeting is scheduled, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. First PMT meeting, we'd like to schedule that for 3 o'clock on Monday, March 9th.
Ninth.
So a week from
Yes.
Today.
Okay, just,
Okay.
we'll put that all
Right.
underneath that one,
Right.
thanks.
Okay. Were you inviting the public when you called that an open house?
No, that's just a PMT meeting.
Yeah,
There-
That's
There
right.
would be an open
Yeah.
house before we bring it back to
Yep.
council.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Mr.
Thank you.
Shooter? Okay, item 10 is the
Walkable, bikeable.
Walkable Bikeable Committee, Washington Street snow removal question. A little snow removal done by the owners, and so they've shown pictures of bridges on either side of Washington Street and up and down Washington, really, mostly. But no,
Who is the responsible party, like on the bridge where MnDOT clears it?
That would be MnDOT,
MnDOT.
It is MnDOT's
Yeah.
responsibility.
yep. And the property owner's responsibility for the sidewalk. And if I may, Mr. Chair?
sure,
Did you see the emails that came?
Yes, oh, yeah.
I think those accurately reflect the level of frustration by the Walkable Bikeable City Committee in terms of, one, what they think is a lack of effort by MnDOT in ensuring that the bridge is completely passable on both sides, and not relying on the sun to take care of it for us in the lack of snow. And they're also disappointed in the fact that we have not followed up with notifications to property owners on Washington Street to shovel their walks. And adamantly are requesting that the City Council make it a priority that both areas get the attention they deserve.
A question, Mr. Borkenheim? Or,
I was just going to make a motion that we ask the city council to consider both of those aspects.
Mr. Oscar, basically, Mr. Borkenhagen's proposed motion appears to be a letter writing campaign. Would that fall under your purview?
What would be the notices to the property owners. Technically, that planning department has not been doing that in the past.
Has anybody?
I think more of our code enforcement, but we've typically have performed the code enforcement on a complaint basis.
Right.
So it's, but we could step that up and try to do some blanket notification.
Okay.
The one area that's going to be difficult for both sides to reach an understanding on, I believe, is going to be at what the level of maintenance and when the maintenance takes place on the bridge.
All we can do is start by writing the letter. I mean, I think the complaint is valid. I just don't want to put us in a situation where we can't do what Chip's motion is going to tell us to do. But I think we can start by writing some letters. As long as you guys say we can, I'm 100% supportive. So Mr. Borkenhagen makes the motion to direct staff to step up efforts for both code enforcement and relations with MnDOT on the bridge. Is there a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And our final item is the food truck status update. Mr. Oscar, and that's you again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
Yep.
The Planning Commission is going to be scheduling a public hearing on this issue for its April, see what month are we in, March, meeting. And a couple of changes that it is going to make on the hearing notice is that they are going to advertise to allow all types of food vendors to operate in the food zones, that be it food trucks, food carts, wagons, trailers, immovable seasonal food vendors put up a stand to sell food, not vegetables, but prepared food. They're also going to streamline the hours from, all of them are going to be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. except downtown, which will be stay at 11 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Really? 11 at night, till in the morning?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And that was done as an appeasement with the downtown restaurateurs as well. And they will keep all 8 of the food zones intact. Those would be, they're going to go with the 8 areas that have been used during the trial periods. So they'll have a public hearing on that.
At this point, that's just an FYI
Yes.
regarding the public hearing. Any questions or comments? I mean, I'm happy that we're still moving forward with this.
And then when
So,
recommendation comes to you, it's up to you as you see fit.
thank you. That is it. We are on time.
Good.